I'm not going to let you put words in my mouth. I'm going to put my words in my mouth. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that.
Where is the evidence that the government was involved in planning or executing January 6th?
So I'm going to give you hard facts. And if I may, Abby, I know this is going to be a little uncomfortable, but we're going to go through this, and you can push back on it after that.
Vivek out here killing them again. This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com. Get the merch link in the description section. I'm not wearing the merch today, but you can go on the Tatum Store and get all the merch. Just so you know, we have 30% off through Christmas. 30% off. You don't need a discount code. All you got to do is go on, and at checkout, it'll automatically populate 30% off. This is your opportunity to get all of your favorite stuff at a discount that will not come back until next year around this time. Also, I want you guys to help out with the Angel Tree campaign. We've been able to help over 2,000 kids get Christmas presents on Christmas Day. Our goal is 3,700. That link will be in the description section as well, so you can go on and donate if God put it on your heart to do so. Like and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into this.
Brandon Tatum.
Is it okay to marry more than one woman?
Well, no, because marriage is like a covenant. Marriage is like
Ladies and gentlemen, and ladies, I don't know what kind of methamphetamine combo that they've been smoking at CNN, but why are y'all, now I like that they're doing this, but I don't know if it's good for their viewership to have Vivek Ramaswamy on your show. Are y'all trying to get embarrassed or not? Have you been watching the debates or not? Have you been seeing the man talk on television and on social media, or are y'all been sleeping under a rock? He been spanking people on television for the last several months, Republican or Democrat. What kind of arrogance does it take for you to somehow think on today with this lady that you're going to get a gotcha moment from Vivek Ramaswamy? But it's good for content for me. I want y'all to listen to this exchange. Watch how, and I don't want to be biased and frame this where it's kind of coming across biased. I don't want to be that person, but I do have to set the tempo. I want you to pay attention to why or how she will not let him finish a sentence. If the man is wrong, let him spew incorrect information, then come back and rebut. The problem is they don't want him to say anything because they need their narratives to be true, and when he go outside of their narrative, they need to cut it off and question. But why it is? Let the man talk, then rebut him, and then give him an opportunity to rebut what you're saying. The people in the audience aren't stupid. They should be able to do their own research. They should listen to that person and say, look, we know who's true. We know who's telling the truth and who's not. It's really that simple. Roll the clip.
There is no evidence that there were federal agents in the crowd on January 6th.
So why, before Congress, when pressed on what the number was, they didn't say there were none? They just couldn't say how many there were.
So you're saying that there's that you have not seen any evidence that there were.
We've seen multiple informants suggesting that there were. We know people were FBI informants who were asked.
Is there any evidence?
May I just finish this, and then you can come back to question.
Well, let me clarify.
I know it's very uncomfortable for you.
I'm going to clarify my question.
But we have to do the truth.
I'm going to clarify my question because I want to make sure that you understand what I'm asking.
I understand this deeply. And I told you, I was with you 3 years ago. I'm not there now.
Where is the evidence?
Yes.
Where is the evidence that the government had a plot, an inside job?
But no, I'm going to tell you what an inside job is. I'm not going
to. She's asked the same question. Let the man answer the question that you asked. You just don't like the way he answered it. Let the man answer the question. He's trying to tell you.
I'm not violence on January 6th.
I'm not going to let you put words in my mouth. I'm going to put my words in my mouth. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that.
Where is the evidence that the government was involved in planning or executing January 6th?
So I'm going to give you hard facts. And if I may, Abby.
Okay, he should be able to go from here, right? She asked a question. He said entrapment, and he's going to put his words in his own mouth. He should be able to go for at least a minute or two on what he needs to say.
I know this is going to be a little uncomfortable, but we're going to go through this, and you can push back on it after that. And you can push back on that. And let's do this fairly. Why did they suppress footage of now what's been released, 200 hours of footage of shooting rubber bullets into that crowd, shooting tear gas into that crowd? You didn't see that before. You saw what the response was to that. Now you see footage coming out of actually rolling out the red carpet for Capitol Police allowing...
He can't do 3 seconds. He probably did 10 seconds. And Mr. he's explaining it.
Ramaswamy, again,
right through the front door.
The vast majority of the footage
evidence should have been released before, Abby.
Mr. Ramaswamy, the vast majority of the footage shows police officers being overrun
and I want to talk about one more
by
case.
violent
really important.
riders. That's
I'm going to give you some hard facts.
Of it shows.
So here's what entrapment is.
Cherry pick.
I'm not cherry picking. If I may finish, Abby. If I may finish, Abby. I'm not cherry picking.
Examples.
To the contrary. To the contrary, you know who cherry picked? You know who cherry picked?
See, they teaching her a tactic to just not let him say anything that's contrary to what they want the theme to be. The man is explaining, he's trying to say it's entrapment. He's explaining that you cannot, he's going to say it here in a second, but they going back and forth. I feel like I need to jump to it. He's explaining that you can't coerce or you can't create an environment where you encourage people to commit a crime and then arrest them for it. He's saying they were shooting tear gas and agitating the crowd, riling up the crowd to want to start becoming violent. That's what the argument is. If the crowd is not becoming violent and people are just protesting and you start agitating the crowd and you potentially have informants in the crowd agitating and then they begin to react to that agitation, technically the government is at fault for that. That's like if I was dressed in plain clothes as a drug dealer and I'm going to a young kid that never sold drugs a day in his life and I have a talk with him and encourage him that it's a good opportunity to sell drugs and he can buy it from me. That kid wasn't thinking about drugs. He didn't have access to them. He wasn't thinking about them. I introduced the idea and gave him an avenue in which to do it. And then once he go buy the drugs, after I convinced him to do it, after I encouraged him to do it, I agitated him to do it, then I arrested him for it. Okay. That you can't do that in the law.
That is what happened.
The government cherry-picked 12 hours of footage when there was 200 hours of footage. So cherry-picking was the government, not me. Release the whole thing. And let me just finish.
Which is a good point. Why didn't the government release everything? Why did they only release parts of the video? That doesn't make sense. If you're going to release out of the video. You know why they didn't want? Because then the footage that they released, that they hid, shows people just waltzing show cops escorting people into the freaking Capitol building. It's like, whoa, the narrative look very different now. All of y'all showing is the conflict between the cops and all this, but you're not showing all of this other stuff where people appear to be getting charged just from physically being there. When the cops were letting them in, guiding them to different places, you know, it's crazy.
Because this is super important as a topic.
So
I think this is a civil libertarian issue of our time. Gretchen Whitmer's kidnapping. I want to be really clear on this because it's the same issue in the same FBI, same even part of the FBI. 3 people who were in an alleged plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer were acquitted at the end of trial because it was entrapment. That is, government agents put them up to do something they otherwise wouldn't have done. They gave them credit cards with spending limits of up to $5,000, encouraged them to buy munitions, plan something they weren't otherwise willing to plan. So much so, and I want people at home to know this, especially CNN viewers to know this, is that one of the jurors went to those defendants and apologized afterwards, gave him a hug, apologized, seeing what the government had put a poor guy up to who had to go to some Mexican restaurant across the street to get hot water. These people were exploited with credit cards up to $5,000, FBI agents putting them up to a kidnapping plot that we were told was true but was entrapment. Same thing with the Capitol Police. People letting them in freely. Many of those people then being charged.
Look,
the government cannot put you up to do something and then charge you for it. That's wrong.
I don't want to have
to. Wrong to the left, to the right. I don't want
to have to interrupt you. I really don't. But I don't want you to mislead the audience here or at home.
I think they've been misled by the mainstream media.
See, this is where they get in trouble. I don't want listen. You're supposed to be having a town hall or a debate. If the man have an opinion of something going a certain way, that's not him misleading anybody. That's him giving evidence that he has and he's claiming that he have, that nobody's have the availability to disprove it, at least instantaneously. Let him say what he got to say, and then you go on and rebut what he has to say. See, they could do that, but she don't want people to hear a different narrative than what they want. She don't want people to hear that the FBI did this or could have done that. She don't want people to even hear that, because then they go off and research on their own and find out what the truth is. They don't even want people to hear that. They say this is misinformation. They did me like that one time when I was on a town hall situation. I forget what it is. It was a black thing. I forget the name of that thing. It's put on by P. Diddy, and it was a bunch of black people on there. I was there for law enforcement expertise. A black law enforcement expertise is what they claimed they had me on there for. David Banner was on there, and he a nut. And they had a whole bunch of other anti-police people on there. And I'm still mad at that dude that was there with me because he was another cop on the panel, and me and him was talking all that trash, how we gonna go on stage and we gonna prove them wrong because they crazy. Benjamin Crump was there too. And the dude went straight side. I mean, he just went straight acquiescent to them. He just agreed with everything. I'm like, bro, I thought we were going to stand up together. Now I got to be the only one to do it. And you know what the moderator said? What I'm not going to let you do, and I'm not going to let you lie to people. I said, ma'am, I wrote a book about this. I'm not lying to anybody. And people in the audience are smart enough that they can do their own research and they can decide if he telling the truth or I'm telling the truth. How are you as a moderator going to stop me when this dude is lying? But it ain't up to me to try to make you stop him from lying. He going to tell you a story. I'll tell you. Go look it up for yourself. Same thing she doing. Anyway, Vivek Ramaswamy, shout out, man. You one of my favorite people. And I can't wait to interview at AmpFest because I think it's going to be an incredible interview. Shout out to Vivek Ramaswamy, man. I really have a lot of respect for this guy because I think he's smart. He's quick-witted. He's a young future of the Republican Party if he continues down the path of trying to be an influencer and a person of reason, logic, and influence. Anyway, I'll see y'all in the next one. I'm out of here.